All right, welcome back. This is Movement Vitamin Series number 12. Sorry about that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna actually have a series coming up that will build off of each other. But the first one we're gonna do is just an actual body scan. In this case, lying down. The value of this is actually being systematic on feeling certain parts of your body, and I'll talk you through that in a moment. But it also gives you a reference point. So when we go into our series, we're going to do some movements, and I'll tell you to come back to the scan so you can perceive a difference. And if you're making contact with the ground in a different way, or your breathing changes, or maybe you feel a little calmer, there's a lot of different aspects that go on with movement or being in person. The reason why we want to do this scan initially is, again, to have that reference point so that we can perceive a difference to the next reference point, to the next reference point. This is an active way to build awareness through, and you can take this from lying down to what you're doing during your day. So if I'm doing the dishes, kind of be aware of how my feet are making contact, where am I bending my hips. Generally, this is called mindfulness. I'm just going to be a little bit more systematic about it. So what I invite you to do is lay on your back, and you're just going to take a general viewpoint of how you're making contact with the ground. Imagine if you're lying in sand, where would that imprint be in the sand? If you were able to float up, what would be your imprint in that sand? After a general view, you're going to focus on your right heel and your right foot. And how does that make contact with the ground? Is it turned towards the ceiling? Is it turned out? You're not going to try to change it. There's no right or wrong at this moment. You're just going to stamp that in time. You're going to start following that up the right lower leg to the back of the knee, the thigh, and to the hip joint. And what I'd like you to kind of think of is that you're paying attention more to the bones, where your bones make contact, not so much paying attention to any of the muscles. You'll do that to the left leg, so starting at the left heel, again, getting a sense of, is it making contact more towards the inside the heel or the outside? Is that different than your right leg? Following the left lower leg, the back of the knee, the thigh to the hip joint. Okay, noticing if there's more space behind the right knee or the left knee. Then getting a feel for your pelvis. Is there a little more weight on the right hip or the left hip? Then in your mind's eye, you're going to locate your tailbone. You're going to follow that up to your sacrum, which is in the middle of the pelvis, in between the two cheeks. Then you're going to try to identify L5, or your last lumbar vertebrae. Vertebrae by vertebrae, you're going to start going up your spine from one L5 that's connected to the pelvis, to L4, L3, L2. Now I'd like you to keep following that up through the rib cage or the thoracic spine and all the way up to the base of the skull. Then you would take this, then you'll scan back down, starting at the base of the skull from the first cervical down each vertebrae by vertebrae, trying to identify each one individual of each other. You may find that some vertebrae are easier to identify than others. Sometimes people have a big blank. Usually it's in that kind of mid-back area. Might feel like a chunk, or might actually kind of be very difficult for you to even picture. Over time, this will develop. What that indicates is that your body's more used to moving in certain spots. Those are the ones that are easier for you to identify. And the ones that are a little bit less clear places where you have opportunities to move more or improve your awareness of that movement. Then you're going to check your shoulders, feeling how the right shoulder makes contact with the ground. Is it elevated off of it? Is it turned in a little bit, or is it lying flush? Find the tip of your shoulder and trace that down to your thumb. So again, idea of how the arm makes contact with the ground. And you'll repeat that on the left side. Feeling how the shoulder blade makes contact. Find the tip of the shoulder and tracing down to your thumb. And then you'll just do another general scan of how if you're laying in sand, how are you making contact with that sand? What kind of imprint would you make if you're able to come off the ground without disrupting the sand? So again, this is part one of a series. We're going to go through some movements and we'll come back to a scan and see if we get differences over time. Thank you.